Hello, good morning to everyone and welcome to the 17th World Education Summit. सभी को नमस्कार 17वीं वर्ल्ड एजुकेशन समिट की तरफ से and we are here with our day 3 on Saturday 12th December 2020 with our esteemed panelists from the PEN India and our opening ceremony. The topic of discussion is beyond reopening educational institutions, education can emerge stronger than before COVID pandemic. And we have esteemed panelists from the PEN India, the great education leaders. And I would like to introduce, it's all my pleasure to welcome Mr. Abdul Jalil Parla, Principal MP International School. Welcome, Abdul sir. Welcome to the 17th World Education Summit, sir. I would like to welcome Mr. Virendra Rawat, originator Green School. Welcome, Virendra sir, for giving your precious time to 17th World Education Summit. I would like to welcome Mr. Rajesh Kumar Chandel, Principal Gyan Ganga International School, Jabalpur. Welcome, Dr. Rajesh, sir. Welcome to the 17th World Education Summit. All pleasure to have you here. And we have Mr. Santosh Kumar, co-founder and CEO of 21K School from Bengaluru. Welcome, Santosh. Welcome to the 17th World Education Summit. And he is moderating the session of this Beyond the Reopening Educational Institution, how education can emerge stronger than before COVID pandemic. So I request all my audience, if you have any question, just drop your questions in Q&A section. We will take it live, and I will hand over this session to Mr. Santosh Kumar. Santosh sir, over to you, sir. Looking forward for the great session.
Thank you, Abhishek, for that. See, in our session itself, we have started adopting to COVID situation. See, from shaking hands, we have been going to Namaste. So that's what the pandemic has brought in, is what I feel. And every pandemic and every crisis is something which teaches us, and we actually adopt ourselves, right from World War One, World War Two, Great Economic Depression, and you name whatsoever. So we see there is going to be a drastic change in the field of education. The changes which we expected a decade or 2 decades down the line is going to happen in next couple of years, and this is what the pandemic is going to bring in. But I feel that the education industry will bounce back with a bang. Like in 21K School, if you see, we are bringing a digital transformation for homeschooling kids. And similar way, I feel every school, every college, every universities will be, modeling themselves or reinventing themselves with digital learning, which we expected to be happening in India, but it is going to happen very soon. I am having an extreme privilege in moderating the one of the most learned and educationist of India, right from Dr. Abdul, Mr. Virender, and Dr. Rajesh. And I am really honored to have this privilege to be moderating you guys. And let's start the discussion. I would like to first let everybody introduce themselves, and one by one we can start the discussion on the topic.
Yeah, I am Dr. Abdul Jalil Perla. I'm principal at MP International School, Kasaragod, Kerala. And ours is a school which follows CBSE curriculum as well as an American high school diploma. And very glad to be here. This is the 17th one. I have attended almost all the ILETS World Education Summits. And happy that I'm here and with these two knowledgeable panelists. Thank you very much.
Myself. Yeah. Hello, I am Virendra Rawat. I am based at Ahmedabad. I am founder of Green Mentors. We basically transform conventional school into green schools and conventional university into green university. We try to bring maximum nature and maximum culture into schooling or into education, and that allow students to learn in the most natural, realistic environment and most geographically appropriate environment. So our school has no contribution to the climate change. So we work with the zero carbon facilities. We work across the world, like America, Latin America, Asia, and Africa region. So we are also transforming a government school into green school in Gujarat and other part of India. Apart from that, we also offer a US High School diploma to Indian students, especially the COVID time, from 9 to 12th. And then we do a lot of activity to make school safe and to introduce fearless learning after the COVID. So we are the only organization that audit schools and making schools safe for learning and teaching practices. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hello everybody, and hello the panel, to all the dignitaries, those who are here, or the other two panelists, and the gentleman who is going to host this 1 hour show for all of us. This side is Dr. Rajesh, and I'm heading one of the school of Gyan Ganga Group, and this is based in Jabalpur. This is Gyan Ganga International. We follow CBSE curriculum and do a lot of innovations with the nature, and it's perfectly fine, the session which has been chosen about that how the schools will be functioning after the pandemic. This is the result of the pandemic only, that we are sitting at this particular platform. I believe all the World Education Summits which Elets Technomedia had in the past, I was there, and we were attending it physically. We were just moving to the show and meeting so many people. But now this innovation which has come up in wonderful manner, this is the result of the pandemic only. And we at Gyan Ganga International, where we follow the CBSE curriculum, we follow the lot of international diplomas, and we just go for the students exchange with the different countries. We are associated with some organizations worldwide, which we are giving the just we can say global knowledge to the children. Coming to Gyan Ganga, we are going to other countries, and yes, this is going, and more we are looking through the innovations which will be coming after the pandemic now. Thank you so much for giving this chance to me to be the part of this event.
And thank you everyone for such a beautiful introduction. So let's start our session. So our first question will be: education inequality is accelerating in an unprecedented fashion. How it can be dealt with? So I see one of the institutions like Dr. Abdul is working for lifelong learning. So their school is much into learning for each and every age group. So I would like to ask Dr. Abdul if you could further elaborate on this. Mr. Abdul, your mic is on.
Yeah, when it comes to education inequality, if you take the global scenario, nearly 1.6 billion children from 190 countries, more than 190 countries, are affected by this situation. And we have had new normals in the past, like in 2007 and 8, we had the financial crisis. Then in 2008 to 2012, we had a global recession. But that hadn't affected the institutions as much as it has been affected by the COVID. So this is a do or die situation for certain institutions. And in our country, if we take it, has affected nearly 240 million children. Now, when we talk about the inequality, in the sample survey, national sample survey conducted in 2017-18, only 24% of the household has an internet connectivity in the country. That's where we are standing. So this is one of the challenges we have. I am from a semi-rural area. I am from a rural area. My institution is from a semi-rural area, and my students are from urban area. So we have a lot of blend of different cultures, of attitude, approach, mentality, and everything. See, when we move to this COVID situation, we have three main crises. Number one is health crisis, where health is affected. Number two is economical crisis. Number three is learning crisis. And this learning crisis is very, very dangerous when it is compared with other crises. So when it comes to COVID situation, handling the institution, managing the inequality, and handling the inequality, we have to understand that there are certain things, there is a shift. There is a shift in learning space. There is a shift in uh, like the method of teaching. There is a shift in responsibility. All these have taken place. If we do not get the cooperation from the side of the other stakeholders, if the other stakeholders are not equipped, it will surely affect the entire schooling system of the country. And the learning crisis that the country has been facing, and the crisis that we are going to face after this period, is huge. When it comes to inequality, as I told you, only 24% of the households have got internet connectivity. Maybe some others have the digital devices like mobile phone, internet connectivity through that. We, as a school which is run from K to 12, what I feel is this is a do or die situation where we have to overcome this situation somehow. We have to manage the financial crisis, we have to manage the economical crisis, we have to manage the stress that we are facing today. We have to include all our stakeholders, that they may be from remote areas, they may be from urban areas, they may be from semi-rural areas. But how are we going to connect? How are we going to integrate? How are we going to synchronize? It's one of the challenges. So if we go for only synchronous learning, like we are providing them with the online classes, face-to-face classes, it will surely affect the other half. Then we have to integrate synchronous as well as asynchronous learning. Sometimes we have to go online, sometimes we have to go offline. Sometimes there are schools who are just simply sending some WhatsApp messages and confining learning to WhatsApp messages. It won't bring the expected result. Somehow we have to manage this crisis that we have in between, managing the digital world, and we are trying to digitally connect the physical gap, digitally bridge the physical gap. And when we try to do that, the cooperation from all the stakeholders like students, the teachers, the parents, everything is very important. Unfortunately, many institutions of the country are fighting a battle in the high courts and the district courts and the Supreme Courts, that the parents are not ready to understand how important is education, how important is this connectivity. They just speak about 1 hour class, they speak about 30 minutes class, and the fee is too much, and we have to get concession. We have to. So when the academicians need most of their concentration on bridging this gap and keeping them connected to this learning and mitigating this learning crisis, many of them are struggling with these court cases and all. At the same time, as a school head, as a teacher, we need to be creative. We need to identify the possibilities. We need to integrate technology. We need to go with technology. And this is the time where we understand the value of technology, where we understand the different platforms, where we understand different tools, where we understand different learning management systems available. And their help, their support helps a lot in overcoming the problems to a great extent. That's what I have to say. So synchronous learning and asynchronous learning, online learning, offline learning, we have to go with integrating all these. We also in our school, we also follow a method where the teacher gives a phone call and the children have to turn on the loudspeaker and they have to listen to the class and all, because we are forced to. We are forced to. That is the situation. And connection is important. Making the parents aware of this orientation of the parent is very important, because they just consider this as a passing of time, where such a mentality has to be removed. Then that
I think Dr. Abdul, you actually did a bullseye attack on it. That's what we feel like technology. What we feel is like technology should have been introduced in like schools like yours and Gyan Ganga schools have been technologically innovative. But think about the schools which didn't have a digital technology at all. Because for your MP International and Gyan Ganga, they already have been digitized, but The schools which were not at all having any digital platform, they are even using WhatsApp, so that's where these schools were facing the problem. So yes, education inequality, like we see in like 2 years, 3 years down the line, with the technologies like Starlink and OneWeb, internet will be available on each and every corner of the world, and it will become affordable. Internet will become affordable, and this is what we foresee in like 2 to 3 years down the line. And you have actually, it's a bullseye that technology is the one divide, and it is actually creating inequality, and how different stakeholders are going to bring in their perspective of it. So Dr. Rajesh or Virender, sir, do you have any questions to Dr. Abdul on this?
No, Santosh, I don't have any question. He has explained very fine all the points he has touched. One thing which is there, that when we are talking about the unexpected this fashion which has come in accelerating the education inequality, many of times when we are talking at the platforms of the CBSE or any education board, and the NCERT is discussing so many points, we talk always about one point, that is inclusion. We try to do the inclusion of the students. Inclusion is not only for the students, those who are having some, we can say they are specially challenged. Inclusion is also of the students, those who are being deprived from the education, those who are the slow learners, those who are the those who belong to the community which cannot facilitate them to come to the school. You have just touched the nerve, actually, that the schools like our schools, like sirs in the Kerala and other schools which are having the infrastructure, they don't have any problem. Same thing applies to the families also. If you talk about the connectivity issue in our country, this is not same everywhere. It is having different structure. Broadband is not available in the villages. Broadband is not available to even to the B2C class cities in the proper manner. And even the teachers are, when the pandemic came, a lot of things were there that we were not in a position to connect to the children, connect to the parents. Now you see, the student who was poor at studies, who was not having interest into the education, became more we can say poorer into this particular area. The children, the families, those were well equipped and were having the facilities with them, they don't have any effect of this one. Even they are enjoying it, they are enjoying all the facilities, and a lot of innovations which were supposed to be done by different stakeholders, like apps has come and different companies has come up. These are helping the schools. Even the entire coaching system has got transferred into the online system. But who will be getting benefit out of it? Only ones, those who are well equipped. Only one, those who are good at the financial aspects, we can say. Only ones, those who are facilitated with the gadgets, those who are facilitated with the we can say broadband, the internet connectivity. They are, and this inequality is increasing. Inequality is increasing. It is not getting synced. If you compare the government schools with the private schools, maybe this is the right platform to speak or not, but you see the scenario in those sectors and in the other sector, where we are standing, and what is the number of the children attending the state government schools and other schools where the facilities are not being provided so well. There is no app, there's nothing is being done. Still they are sending the things on the WhatsApp. They are doing it or not doing it. So I agree with this one, that inequality is there, but it can be dealt altogether when we all will be, all the stakeholders will be putting efforts to think something about the children, those who are still wanting to study. They don't have the facilities, and we have to bring all these in sync. Then only it can be done. This is what I was feeling. I just shared my feelings out of the way. I've added something to sir's point.
This is actually fantastic, and you have hit the nail. As am telling you, this is the major problem. Affordability of a gadget or internet connection for each and every part of the thing. Like Indian education, Indian government has a mandate to spend 6% of their GDP on education, which we feel that it is still not been implemented or been gone to a grassroots level, and that's where I think we have to wait for government to government has introduced this NEP, and NEP is having a lot of things which has to be implemented, but on real time when it has to be implemented, what kind of efforts has to go on is what we have to wait and see. So Mr. Virender, you have something to add up to this? Sir, you are on mute.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay.
Audible.
Yes, sir, it's audible.
So, as far as the inequality is concerned, as long as the state will not sponsor the whole education system, the inequality will be always there. So, when we have the private school and government school, so it means we are not equal. So, we cannot imagine equality with the government-sponsored school and parent-sponsored schools. And inequality is not in only the facilities or resources. Inequality is the teaching faculty also, because the teachers are not equally equipped. The government school has the more brilliant teachers, but less performance. Private school has less brilliant teachers. Those who could not get a job in private government, they get job in the private sector. And there are facility school. We call that factory schooling. The one part. So this called super schools. But ultimately, if you go to the government school, the student studying in the village, they are more sincere and more committed to our education than the student studying in so-called urban school or big branded schools. So branded school students are smart. So they are making fun of even their teacher during the online classes. So our school system has missed the IT opportunity, IT learning opportunity when it started in 1990, and nobody had learned it perfectly. So today, we don't have any teacher who has the knowledge of online teaching. We don't have any teacher who has the knowledge of online evaluation. But somehow we are doing. We don't know how to do it, but we are doing. Right? We are blaming the parent. We must thankful to parents that they are sending their children to us. And in spite of that, the children are joining. I don't know whether the online content is inspiring a student or not, but inspiration is missing. Somehow they are engaged. We could not prepare our teachers. So this is the biggest inequality. Now the challenge is that what is the way out? What is the way out? Way out is that we have to introduce this year as a homeschooling year. A student has to learn their rituals, their culture value, and their family values, the gardening, farming, and the social skills. And we should evaluate these skills in this year. We can learn the science, math, and English in future, because these are the sciences that I think every year it changes. Before we learn, it changes. And maths is, yes, maths is the basic, and we are Indian are champion in mathematics. And those who are never attended the school, they are the more wiser than the people who have attended the schools. And now the technology is concerned, we could not update our teachers. And now second part is that our school owners, school principal, school supporting staff is not equipped how to make school safe. When the school will reopening and the student will go back to home, how to ensure the parent if the child is not carrying any kind of virus in the hand, the bag or books, how to sanitize, how to disinfect. No training is given. Neither government is giving any training, neither the private sector is giving any training. We have to take responsibility because we are the leader, we are the educator, we are the solution provider. Unfortunately, Indian school does not spend any money on the research. That's why the outsider organization, they provide us the GPS, the smart classroom, X, Y, Z, whatever they are having. But no school have the budget for research. As long as you don't have the budget for research, we cannot call we are innovative. And we just say that, okay, we are innovative. What kind of innovation we have done till so far? Right. So there is no documentation, no achievements. We need to rethink, are we eligible to teach our students? Are we eligible? Because Indian schools are not ready to unlearn. Unlearning is very important. When the technology came into school, we could not unlearn. We could not include technology. Now the pandemic is there. We are still not unlearning because we have to learn a lot of school, lot of skill that needed after the COVID. So as long as we will not introduce unlearning, we cannot initiate effective learning. Now in the many countries, because I work across the world, so many countries have introduced hybrid schooling, Many countries has introduced the digital schooling. Around 25 countries has introduced the digital schooling officially, like Middle East, China, Argentina, many countries. There is one group of Middle East called Inspire Group. They work more than 45 countries. So they are teaching all content online, and they have hired some places near to student where student can take the physical classes, the PT, or drawing, drama, and their cultural activities. And rest of thing, the students are learning from online, but they have the resources, they have the devices, they have the network. Sometimes we have the device, but we don't have network. And sometimes we have device and network, but we don't have the quality teacher. We don't have trained teacher how to teach online. So we are simply teaching. We don't have any degree. We don't have any certificate for online teaching. And our university system, NCERT, could not provide us content. How to evaluate a student online, how to teach a student online. Right? Simply using technology because randomly does not make sense. We need to rethink and we need to reshape the whole education system because the pandemic is forcing us to reshape. Otherwise, the digital schooling is the future of the schooling, and these facilities which we call today school, these will be only examination centers in coming day.
Actually, I think, sir, you have answered the very next question in your answer, and you are very precise on what exactly is needed. To add to you, I think yeah, you would have heard about K-12 schools from US. I think they are 25 years old in this digital education, and they have been running on the same model with Mr. Virender is trying to explain. And but in in India, we need personalized learning as well, wherein students are at
I'll just explain my experience. In this pandemic, I have connected more than 10 million students across the world, right? And through the STEM classes, STEM class, we have only STEM, and we have connected. Students enjoyed, and I'm sure that the happiness in their faces is the real achievement of us. And similarly, we have introduced the US High School Diploma online, and many students has entered in that, and they are learning very quickly because they are having good device and good network, and they are taught by American teacher online. So America has trained their teacher for online teaching before pandemic. So that's why they are getting benefit. Now we have to teach our teacher how to teach online after the pandemic, but somehow we have to start it.
Exactly. So that's where I was coming. Like we are 21K school is in partnership with K12 America, who have been actually a leader in online teaching for last 25 years. Even they offer American diploma online, but they are also having the same assumption like Indian teachers when they are trying to train them online to take classes or something. But that we cannot blame on India. But what I feel is it is the time when people will learn. Schools like Gyan Ganga and MP International, their teachers are well versed with online facilities because they know computer, they know system. They would have they are using smart boards, they are using digital learning. But not every school is equipped with that situation.
We need to learn pedagogy. Online teaching, online pedagogy is different than the conventional pedagogy. So technology is one part, but pedagogy is missing.
I think we will bounce back very fast. What I feel personally is we will learn and bounce back very fast because crises have been innovation or many big inventions, even from tea bag to cellophane tape were invented during crisis like World War. So I feel we will learn very fast. So Dr. Rajesh, talking about our next question, I would like to have you answer. Like innovation has suddenly moved from the margins to the center of many education systems. How do you think innovation will take education to next level? Like in coming decade, how innovation will transform education in our system? We would like to listen from
you. Santosh, this is something that innovation has suddenly moved from margin to center. To some extent, I agree it has moved, but to some extent, I disagree that it has moved. It is moving, and it is playing a vital role. It is playing the major role. If the innovation which was done in the IT sector in the past couple of years, it would not happen at that time, I think we were supposed to stuck at the point when the lockdown was there in the country. thanks to the innovations done by the IT, and this innovation these innovations which we were using in the schools like ours, that complete school is digital. We are the first school of Madhya Pradesh to get it digitalized. But the things which are changing year by year, month by month, are getting updated, and these innovations which were at the corner earlier are moving to the centers, and these innovations are making a wonderful change in the education sector. See, if we are talking about the classes only, if you're talking about the online classes only, if you're talking about the teaching and learning through some apps or through some learning management systems, LMS, which are developed by the different agencies, companies, even some schools are working on it, and IT companies are supporting. Google is supporting free of cost. Microsoft is supporting. All these companies are supporting. That's perfectly fine. But we set forth a leapfrog pathway, which is laying out a map to harness the education innovations to much more quickly close to the gap of education inequality. This is the innovation in the education sector. This is the innovation in education sector which can fill the gap which was there in the first question which you have put in. And if these are taken in the positive manner, then only it will be. We are defining the education innovation as an idea, or we can say the technology, which is there in the current context, we can say. In the time that it will be coming after the pandemic is completely over, I believe right now we are compelled to use the technology. We are compelled to just utilize the innovations which were done in the past and were done during the lockdown or during the pandemic time by the different agencies. Yesterday, the inauguration of a national Sahodaya conference was done by the Education Minister Government of India, and we were there like as we are sitting in the real auditorium. We were going to the different rooms. Same is the situation that the World Education Summit is happening right now virtually. And if we see the picture, then I believe we are looking like that we are sitting in a hall, in auditorium, and we are communicating. This is the innovation that where physical happening of this education world, we were having the people. We were not in a position to give lot of chances to the many people to listen them, to just address the different points. But here we have got more chances. So this is the innovation. So innovative things, and I am coming to the point which Rawat has put in, that is innovation pedagogy is very, very important into it. When we are inventing, we are innovating. The pedagogical approach along the side, the direct instructions to help the young people not only to remember and understand but to analyze also and to create something. Even just properly, if we are adopting some pedagogy and we are taking this pedagogy to, we are teaching right now, we are innovating something, but the pedagogy should be in such a manner that when the children to whom we are taking this particular innovation, the young people should not only focus on the remembering, understanding, and evaluating. They should go for analysis also. They must be trained in such a way that they are going for the creation, and some creativity is coming out of it. There are so many new ways of organizing learning along with the traditional. And this traditional and the new technology which has come in, I think this blended, this is, we many times, Santosh, we used to say blended learning, but now we need to think something about the blended teaching. So this blended teaching will make wonderful changes into this particular sector. And one more point, the question is no longer that how to scale the innovations from margin to center of the education system. This is not the question, but question is that how to transform education system so that they will source, they will support and sustain those innovations that address the inequality and provide all the young minds with the skills to build the better future for themselves and their communities. That is more important. It's not only just to bring it from the margin to the center. It is just only to transform the education system with the help of the proper pedagogies, with the help of proper transformation and transaction of this one. And by doing this, we ultimately hope that only that those who are left behind, those who could not catch up, they would be able to catch up, but that a new or more equal education system can emerge out of the crisis, and fortunately across the country the communities are increasingly valuing the role that schools are playing right now with the new innovations, and every teacher is being valued by the citizen of the country. Every teacher is being marked as the knowledge warrior for this particular pandemic, and not only for the student learning but also for the livelihoods of the educators, parents and others, as we have been discussing since many times. It's only the teachers innovation that has put all the children in the normal situation in the abnormal one. Okay, so this is what my wish, that not bringing it from the margin to the center, but to transform the education by sourcing, by supporting and sustaining into education.
You have given a different perspective altogether, sir, because this is what I think exactly every educationist is discussing now. I have been discussing with schools like you, and everybody wants a digital transformation with, changing the teaching. Like every teacher has to undergo a training, continuous training, the way they teach the kids, the way they get a 360-degree feedback. Companies have, if an employee is working, and if he wants to say something to a management, there is a 360-degree feedback mechanism in all corporate, but somehow that is what is missing in education. And by training the teachers again, training them to teach online, training them to teach with a blended learning model, I think this model is there to stay. Like stating, for example, if we have some school management system, learning management system, now we take classes online, but the methods like assessment or parent teachers meeting or certain aspects can still be remain online and still remain with the physical schools. So this is something here to stay. And Dr. Abdul, what is your take on like how these systems like learning management system, or school ERPs, or school systems like now we are having this kind of virtual session, maybe conducting parent teachers meeting virtually, how these kind of innovations, and also how to train teachers, like every employee or every corporate has a training methodology for the LMS, totally actually evolved in corporate to train their employees. So how do we actually keep this training going on for
Yes.
teachers, as Dr. Rajesh was pointing out?
I'll share my experience, what I did in my school. Mine is an high-tech school. Although mine is an high-tech school, I can say that only 40% of the teachers are techno-savvy. They were techno-savvy. There are teachers who have been teaching for 20 years, 30 years. We cannot bring them as a techno-savvy all of a sudden. So what we did in the month of May, what we did, we had regular practicing sessions. For 10 continuous days, we gave continuous practicing sessions. They had to present something. We gave them a platform through which they had to present it. And during those 10 days, we monitored best performers, and then we selected 5 best performers. Then we made the teachers into 5 different clusters, and these monitors were monitoring and helping the other 10 members each to practice and perform. And that is how on 1st of June we went online. There was no block, no problem. We went online because of that 1 month training. It is see, we are moving, but we have moved to the what the so-called digital world, right? The way we are teaching now, the way we are our teachers are conducting assessments, the way we are holding our PTA meetings, we wouldn't have done this otherwise if this was not required. As Virendraji told, the pedagogy is very important. So the teacher may be an expert in techno, but if the teacher is not expert in pedagogy, that will be an utter failure. And if the teacher is an expert in pedagogy but not an expert in technology, that will also be a failure. We are talking about the country where half of the country is walking kilometers to digest the food eaten. At the same time, the other half is walking kilometers to get the food. So as you told, the inequality is somewhere, the innovation is coming, and we have to reach all these 240 million children. How is it? It may be possible for my school. It may be possible for my teachers. What we have done is we have also opened an option for other school teachers. They can join and learn from us for free of cost. We don't charge anything for that. So if they want to learn how to use the digital devices, how can we teach virtually, they can come. So This is how innovation has come, there is no doubt. At the same time, one more thing I would like to say, that many of the schools have had brand assassinations, that the world is watching you. The world is watching how your teacher is teaching, not the four walls and 30 children. The entire world is watching. The father is sitting, mother is sitting, brothers are sitting, the entire family is sitting, and the world is seeing what your language is, how you are teaching, what the content you are teaching, what the way you are teaching. Brand assassination of many schools might have taken place by now. At the same time, many other schools have built their brand by showing the world, by demonstrating the world that this is what happens in my local school, this is what happens in my normal school. So this is a challenge that we have. Innovation has happened, and it has, there is no doubt, we need not doubt. I have told my teachers, even after COVID period, when the school reopens, we have to go with blended learning as strong as possible. That's my take on this.
Mr. Virender, I think Dr. Abdul gave a overall perspective of it. But what do you feel like how this kind of blended learning can also reach various tier 2, tier 3 cities and those kind of schools? Because yeah, certain schools can afford, they are able to provide. But in terms of innovation, how do we take it to the deep root? Maybe government has to come up with something, or what is your take?
Education is not about affording or not affording. Education is all about interest. Education has two components. One is the content, and second is the experience. And in this pandemic period, we have given the content, but we failed to give the experience. So without experience, learning cannot take place. So we are actually fundamentally not clear. Without experience, learning cannot be completed, and we cannot complete this. My syllabus, my chapter is completed. Most of the school has completed their syllabus, but students haven't completed their syllabus. So learning means when students say my syllabus is completed. So in the like schools affiliated to the CBSE, ICSE, so these are the principal. They just ask their teacher, okay, complete the syllabus by 31st March or maybe 31st January. So we have a revision period and all things. So teacher gives a report in very good format. Sir, I have completed chapter number 5, chapter number 13, everything, and mostly they complete their syllabus, but unfortunately the student could not complete. The problem is that inclusion, the expectation of the student is missing, and our goal is that unless we don't include local culture and local nature and local language, we cannot teach any student completely. Learning must be in local language. We are victim of the so-called English. I believe that if you are not speaking English, you are speaking one of the beautiful language of the world. Because every week, one indigenous language is disappearing. So if you want to address the climate change, if you want to make the planet sustainable, we need to preserve the local language. We need to preserve the indigenous language. And we should not become the victim of science, so-called science. Science keeps changing. And we learn maximum science because it keeps changing, right? So our goal is that we should learn more than other content than the science, because science has given us the biggest challenge of climate change. This is the gift of science, right? So any science in our green school, we don't teach anything that hurts the mother nature. So we believe the law of nature is supreme guide, and law of land may be secondary guide, because every country has made their law according to their need and greed. But teachers are universal. Teachers are for everyone, every child. Yes. So I wish that any best teacher in the world, every child has a right to learn from them, and technology allows them to learn from these teachers. So in coming days, the best teacher will be excelling. And my experience of during the pandemic, so-called branded school are lost their image, but local school has brought their image great, because they are local, they are vocal, and they are connected with the local culture. So I'm sure that when the schools reopening, you will find a lot of change in the student behavior, parent behavior, and now parents want their children to be happy, because knowledge they are getting from different parts. including Google, right? So our goal is that we are blessed that our country, we are the most wise people in the world. Our IQ level is highest in the world, and we are more innovative. We excel in challenging situations, and we have because the world need us more than we need the world, because every country need Indian teachers, every country need Indian content. We are the only country that has the most oldest rich content which world needs to face the impact of climate change. We need to follow law of nature. At the end, law of nature is supreme law, and that's why we promote green school, we promote green university. Whatever you are teaching, just bring element of nature into it. Student will be happily learn it, and the learning will take place permanently, because nature teaches us more better than any teachers. So this is, I believe
Yeah.
that
So
nature is equal. Nature does not discriminate. Sun rises for everyone,
so
right?
exactly, sir. So that was a beautiful perspective of it. And to summarize, in innovation, I think in India we would be soon developing the FANG of education. In terms of what is FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google of education. Like Facebook, like in terms of social media for education. If you take Apple, we'll building hardware for education, and Netflix for education, Google for education. So these kind of startups are going to spring up very fast, and I think this will something which is going to bring down the digital divide in terms of connectivity in hardware, and it will also reach a lot of people down the line. So to summarize, we'll take our last question, I think, or that is like how essential schools are in society, and window of opportunity to leverage this support for making them stronger. How school plays a very vital role in society. So, Mr. Rawat, if you'd like to take that question.
See, school touches every house. It inspires every house, every parent. So school play a greater role to any transformation. So I'm sure that more responsible schooling creates a more responsible society, and more responsible society creates more responsible nation, and more responsible nation create more responsible world. So I'm sure that responsible curriculum, responsible education, responsible nation makes a responsible world, and the world is for everyone, and that is the ultimate answer for inequalities. So equality, knowledge for all, no child left behind. And I request of the government also in school also, learning cannot stop, because when our students are at home, other countries students are learning in the school, and we must make our children more competitive than any other part of the world. We cannot afford to stop learning. Learning should continue in all the situations, even in the war time. Learning never stopped in the history earlier. So this time only, the pandemic is the father of all wars, because it is hitting you, hurting you, and making you incapable. So I'm sure that the educator need to win. We will have to win. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Dr. Rajesh, would you like to add on something on how schools are going to, transform society, or how helpful schools are in transforming society?
Santosh, you know that March 2020, when the lockdown started, everybody knows that entire world was shut down. Everything was closed. Nothing was open. All the children, those who were playing outside in the playground, were happy to go to school. We, being the, we can say, uh, mature persons, elders, those who were at home, we understood the situation is like this. But was it possible to hold the children at home without anything? Because their energy is more important, and that was to be channelized. So when the world schools were closed, every school in India was also closed. At the time, teachers were there to care them. And as the teacher and the school leaders around the world or across the country, they struggled with so many things. As Abdul sir said, that they trained the teachers, they trained them with the different methods. Only 30 to 40% teachers are found in every school on an average. That they were the tech savvy, others were supposed to be made and they were supposed to be transformed. Every school did this. Some did it in May, some did it in April, and yes, we did it in month of April in the beginning. And in the second week of April, we were able to launch the school totally online. And I was happy at the time that we could do it without spending anything. A lot of LMS were being sold by different companies. We worked with the IT team and we went for Moodle. We looked for that pitched something from the IIT Mumbai, and then we did something with Moodle. We integrated all the students on that one. We just got some VC platform. We used different platforms with the Moodle, and we struggled a lot. But yes, by the second week of April, we were in a position to make the students happy. We were in a position to make the children happy, parents happy. And with that particular point, we can say, I would like to simply say that schools are very essential to the society. Because if earlier we were imparting education on the campus within the four walls, this time we imparted education without any limits, we can say. Everybody was watching, as Abdul was clearly, it is something very open now. We cannot say that something happened in the classroom and that is over. Now, if it is happening something during the class, that is remaining for the future, that is recorded, that is going to the management, that is going to the parents. Everybody is judging you. And teachers were supposed to be more sophisticated. Teachers were supposed to be more well planned. Teachers were supposed to be very vigilant when they are giving their lessons. They were planning it properly. They were assessing it properly, because everything was happening in such a way that that was kept as a record. So they have played their role wonderfully. Schools are very essential part, and I suppose that this is the school only which contribute most to the society. This is the school which touch every family of the society through a child. So this is my say on this particular point, that we as a school are contributing and we are essential.
So what is your opinion? Is this recording sessions are going to stay even when the kids are coming to a physical classroom? Because if you see a lot of schools, after they came online only, everybody saw the quality of teaching, the way teachers are teaching and all those things. So that has, become a very big, social media meme and kind of thing. But over a period of time, many schools actually, they improved. Though initially they were having problem, but they improved and they shown to the world like everybody can learn and relearn kind of thing. But do you think this kind of feedback mechanism or recorded classes in the physical classrooms are there to stay, or this kind of teaching will be like going prolonging? Because nowadays there are recorded classes available for the kids to watch again. If the kid is missing a class, he can watch again. And in a physical class school situation, whether there's such a digital system will still remain or still evolve like after pandemic also. My question is
Santosh, this is question of everybody. I believe teachers are teaching, and for one topic, if you Google, then you will be finding thousands of teachers, we can say lectures on that particular topic. This is one thing which is open with the student, they can do it. But one local concern, which Rawat sir was talking about, one local touch, personal touch, which a teacher can give, and the teacher who is known to the students and he is the favorite one of everybody, he is giving, that cannot be changed with those YouTube videos and the videos which are given by other agencies. One point. Second point is, I believe that this particular trend which has come into inception during this lockdown and during this pandemic period, it will be the part of school education in the new normal. Many schools are planning, and this is something which we were waiting, that how to flip a class. We were waiting how to flip a classroom. Now this flipping has come in the open. You teach in the school. Schools are planning to fix every gadget. Those schools which are having the digital platform in the classroom, we don't need to spend much on that one, I think so. Just fitting in and just making it online. Take the class, teacher is coming, taking the class as a routine, getting recorded, going to that particular portal, remaining there always. Student can do it in the class. Student can, means now the doors are open. More opportunities are there with the students. and they can do it at their own, at their home. They can revise, they can rewind it time and again, and this is going to remain, Santosh. This is what I believe.
Great. So, Dr. Abdul, to have a finishing remark, what is your take on how schools are going to, help society, or how they are so important a part of the society?
If you are asking about the essentiality of schools, see, this is a place where children spend their time 5 or 6 hours per day, and years, maybe 12 years of their formative stage. This is where they spend their time. When it comes to a school, it's not just a building where we have a physical environment and we have living human beings there. And when this physical human environment and living human beings come together, something gets created which is called socio-cultural environment. It's all about culture. An institution is all about culture. The impact that the school creates is permanent. It remains there forever. That's one of the reality. But the point is, as we started with inequality, I'll come there. I was doing a course and my teacher told that teacher went to a rural school and the teacher was teaching in the class and she asked a question. Aankhein kis kaam aate hain? Aankhein kis kaam aate hain? Then one of the students told, Aankhein rone ki kaam aate hain. So we are living in a world where some are getting more than what is required and some are not getting the minimum things that is required. As an organization, as an institution, as a company, everyone has to come together. And our work should be towards equity than equality. Equity should be the should be the key point that we must be discussing here. And this creates a lot of impact. And the children who come out of our institution should also be thinking about the equity. And they must also be thinking about the society is pluralistic, where we have children coming from individualistic culture, pluralistic culture. When they come there, we create one culture here. We may complain, I may complain, my teacher may complain, saying that they come from different cultures. But I have to keep in mind that they come to one culture called me or my school. That is where the flower blooms. That's all from my side that I had. Equity is what we have to consider. Thank you very much.
I think that was a wonderful discussion we had today with our esteemed panel members. So what we can have a conclusion is soon, like post-normal, like post-COVID also, the digital technologies are there to stay and it will evolve, and soon we may have a complete school or a complete dedicated app or software for a school, and school will build that system completely and they can also share with the next schools, and it will be a hybrid model which is going to stay with us, to improve the learning, to monitor the learning, to relearn of the teachers. I know you have that society, the importance of society to be imbibed into it, having vernacular culture. In fact, if you see the NEP 2020 has stressed on all these points, the importance of learning 3 languages and the importance of having a community learning, importance of having homeschooling, importance of having every kind of educational training and kind of stuff. So I think this is going to stay, and this will have a higher large impact. Like the change which we are expecting 2 decades down the line are going to happen in next 2 years time in India, in education in particular. So this is what it was a fantastic opportunity to be discussing with you, esteemed panelists, and I thank you a lot for today's sessions and allowing us to have this discussion. Abhishek, you want to take something?
Thank you, Santosh sir, for this wonderful moderation, and I thanks all my panelists for their discussion, for sharing their ideas and innovation. And I request all my audience, if you have any questions, we can take it offline as well, and you can follow the social handles of each of our speaker panelists. They are very much active on the social media also. So I request Rajesh to can we have a speaker certificate for our all the panelists. It's a small token of appreciation to Abdul Jalil Parla, Principal, MP International School, Kasarabad. Thank you, Abdul sir. Thank you for joining World Education Summit. It will be a great honor for us. And we are providing speaker certificate to Prinder Rawal, Coordinator, Green School. Thank you, Vrinder sir. Thank you for joining World Education Summit.
Thank you.
And speaker certificate is presented to Rajesh Kumar Chandel, Principal, Gyan Ganga International School, Jabalpur. Thank you, Rajesh sir. Thank you very much for giving your ideas at 17th World Education Summit. Thank you, Santosh Kumar sir, co-founder and CEO, 21K School, Bangalore. Thank you, Santosh sir, for this wonderful moderation and giving us opportunity to join us in World Education Summit.
Thank
So
you,
by
Abhishek.
this,
It's a
we
privilege.
move into our next session, and I request Rajeshwar to play the AV, and we will move to our next session right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.